Take two.
Now, when you say you've done quite well, reasonably well at journalism, when you first came back, although you had money to live on, to do your writing on, did you sense in the period you'd been away any change in attitude towards Afro-Asians in Britain? Or was that difficult in terms of having lived northeast as opposed to coming to London?
No, basically, I think the situation has deteriorated because, I mean, there are lots of explanations. I mean, people will say, well, I'm not prejudiced as long as there's one man out of 100, but I'm prejudiced when there are 2 out of 100. Well, I personally reject this rationalization explanation because even when there were very, very few Africans or Asians living in this country, there was prejudice. I mean, I was recently reading an autobiography of Mr. D.F. Karaka, who was an Indian Parsi, and he was in fact the first Indian to be the president of Oxford Union, and that was in 1932 or 33. And he writes of exactly the same situation as people talking today. So the whole idea that we are prejudiced when there's one man, and we're not prejudiced when there's one man, but when there are 2.5 people, then we get prejudiced. Well, I think it's a lot of bunk. And of course, basically, one has to go back to being ruled. I mean, you were ruled by the great British, the white man, and so we are the slaves. Either we're slaves directly, if we were in this American situation, or we're indirect slaves, people who are to ape the master, be like him. So I think that basically the prejudice has always been there. I mean, and I had 2 engineering degrees, and I had 3 years experience. I worked for a company which was an agent of about 20 different companies in Britain. I went to each of these companies. I had worked for the agent in the design department, and I had his letters. Didn't mean a damn. Just didn't mean a damn.
I'm a little confused by one thing. You said you thought the situation had deteriorated now, and then you went on to say that you didn't think there was any difference in the quality of prejudice, whether there was a quantity involved or not. Then in what way has it deteriorated?
Yeah, I think basically it has been there. It is deteriorated to the extent that it is showing much more because the essential attitude is always there. And now because there are more chances for more people to show it, and therefore it becomes a wider social problem. Let's say that there were 1,000 people before. They were being rejected for the jobs to which they were qualified, so there were only 1,000 disgruntled people. Now there are 100,000, and 10 times more people are exposed to the situation, and they reject them, they humiliate them. So naturally, therefore one says the situation has deteriorated. But essentially, in my opinion, the attitudes were exactly the same as they were 50 years ago, 10 years ago, 100 years ago.
Except possibly that it was possible for a number of English people to think of themselves as liberal in this sphere because they hadn't been faced literally with the problem.
Yeah, well, this is what I said, that less people, less people were put in a situation where they had to make decisions. I mean, less people were in the situation as personal managers and as house owners and estate agents and so on to face this and to say yes or no. And therefore, people say, well, it didn't exist or it wasn't there. But I personally feel it was always there.
Now then, getting on to what was, and I've been a long time getting to the heading of the Times Diary piece, integration, a debased word, where you're quoted as saying it's a debased word like nice. What does it mean exactly? Nobody knows. But what it boils down to is this: be like us, do it our way. Now, the word integration still should have a meaning. The meaning happens to me to be the complete integration of all races, which includes marriage and having children. Do you think that's what it should be?
Well, I think people always make this jump, you see. I mean, therefore, I think it's very essential to find out what is the popular connotation of the word integration. Now, there is a definition by Roy Jenkins of integration, and it's a page-long definition in Hampsteadian prose, but it's very well put. If I may quote briefly, he says, Roy Jenkins says, integration is not a flattening process of assimilation, but an equal opportunity accompanied by cultural diversity in an atmosphere of mutual tolerance. Now, with this particular definition of integration, I agree. Where I disagree with Roy Jenkins is that instead of going around having 20 different definitions of one word integration, or founding a dictionary, Roy Jenkins, David Ennell's dictionary, it is better to find a word which explains what he is saying. And in my opinion, the word is social pluralism.
Social pluralism.
Yeah. This is the word which says exactly what it means and runs away from what has become a historically debased word integration, because it means what you said earlier on. People imagine intermarriage. I mean, you talk to a man, he say, okay, I believe integration, and I think this country in 50 years' time will be all coca-colored. Well, I think it's ridiculous, because the statistics are that in this country, there's less intermarriage than there was 10 or 15 years ago. As you get a large enough colored community, they tend to be self-sufficient. In the initial stage, there were more men and less women, so there was more intermarriage. After all, men had to seek women's company, and there were more chance between men and women. Now, that's not necessary, and particularly Asians, they just don't really, I mean, there are lots of Asians, I mean, I would say at least 30 to 40%, who feel that morally they are superior to the white man, to the Englishman. And intellectually they are superior to him, except that when it comes to expression of English language. And then many of them really feel that English women are cheap. And therefore, the whole idea, once you say integration, next thing you say coffee-colored Britons all over the country in 50 years' time. It isn't the case. So what I mean by this is that one has to sort of disentangle this one word which is being painted all over the place. If you're not for integration, people always get so hot, well, you're a racialist. Oh, you know, it just makes you sort of, you know, and there's so much tension on the side. I'm sure lots of intelligent English people wouldn't want to see this. They don't seem to realize there are lots of Asians and Africans who don't want this. Yes. They want mutual respect, and if there's going to be integration, it has to be on equal basis, that is. Now it's going around and say, okay, Asians now, take off your bloody saris, put on your skirts, because you're in my country. Now, in my opinion, integration means I would like to see every English woman, or maybe 80% of them, having at least one sari or a salwar in their wardrobe. That is, in my opinion, integration, because then you are meeting on equal plane. I would like to see in this country serious understanding of Indian music, not this junk of the tabla and sitar, which is just a gimmick, but serious understanding, because the Indian music is one of the most complex musics that there is in this world. And when this happens, when there's this change of attitude of people to look at non-Western, non-white cultures as cultures in themselves, to study them seriously, then there's integration. Otherwise, this is all just, integration is you be like me. Okay, you wear the skirt because I wear the skirt. You wear the trousers because I wear the trousers. I say, no, I want to wear my salwar. And you have to respect, not only respect, but I expect to see that at least some people of you will feel, okay, salwar is more comfortable, so I'll wear it around. This is, in my opinion, integration on equal basis, on basis in which you respect people, not simply tolerate, not simply say, okay, you see, because you are 2%, you do my way. If it's a question of 2%, therefore you do it my way, then what the hell didn't the English people wear dhotis when they came to my country? Or the Indian, the English madams didn't wear saris when they were living in my country, because if it's a question of, you know, talking of the weather, well, they should have done the same way as the Indians were doing that. They don't do it now. They didn't do before. So the integration is always to follow the big chief, and the big chief is the white man, whether he's in America or in this country. So, and this is, in my opinion, is just
yeah, so integration is really a dirty word.
It's become debased.
It's debased, it's finished, and we've got to find something else. Now, does your phrase, I would think for you it does, allow not for assimilation, but for intermarriage, if two people so choose?
Well, certainly, of course. I mean, but I think intermarriage should be put in its proper context. The whole idea is this quick jump. I mean, you say integration, next thing you say, you know, black and white women, you know, men sleeping together. This quick image. Well, I think the whole, and even in that one, it's always one presumes that the colored man is looking for white women. One doesn't look the other way around, you see. And therefore, again, there's a sense of inferiority, superiority. And therefore, the white man feels, okay, he's compromising. Therefore, therefore, this is his way of liberalism. But they must realize that the Asian or the African is as proud, African as proud of his kinky hair and his thick lips as a white man is of his blonde hair, and when this realization comes in, and this is the essence of it, when there is meeting at that point, that is it. That's integration in the sense that you respect people for what they are. Now they shit in the street, you accept it. You don't go around and say, look man, this is uncivilized. Okay, what the hell? This is his way. You accept this for what the man is, and when you do this, and when you meet, it's like two adults meeting. And this meeting now is between a man and a child. This whole attitude, patronizing, I will teach you how to do this. We send you this ox